I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this open source thing a long time. I had a Commodore 64 and I ran a bulletin board system on it. That was 1983. I eventually got myself a Commodore Amiga, which was a much better computer. I still ran a bulletin board system on it. It was run on this piece of software called Citadel, which actually still exists today. I think it's branded somehow as like work group email or something. But it's still the same software, and its copyright messages were from 1980. I'm sure the reason I was reading them is because I had to compile something, or I mean, it could have been that even the config files were in C, and I didn't even know that at the time, and maybe all the configuration stuff was compiled. I wouldn't know. I'm 13 years old. I didn't become a programmer until I was 29 years old. You got introduced to open source software when you were 13 or whatever, and you didn't decide to become a programmer until you're 29. I was always fascinated with computers, but I wasn't fascinated with computers because I wanted to do computer stuff. I was fascinated with electronic communications, and that's why I ran a bulletin board system. The bulletin board system let me communicate with people that were like me, instead of the people in my high school or in my middle school. Unlike these days when you hear like, oh, he's such a nerd. These were not in terms of endearment. These were slurs. And I was a nerd. I gravitated much more to being into figuring things out. Not necessarily like in the way that other people talk about that, where they say they took clocks apart and shit. That was never me. I never took a fucking clock apart. I wouldn't do that. It's a fucking clock. It goes one way. I'm not going to do that. But I was curious about stuff, and I wasn't unwilling to get my hands dirty. That, coupled with my outcastness in school, I was no stranger to being alone. I was fascinated with electronic communications because you could talk to people that actually were funny, like they had a sense of humor, and they were not shitheads. Well, needed break from the alienation of middle school and high school. You don't have to be so alone all the time. It was nice. It was really nice. I grew up with these people, over time, and we hung out together, we played softball, and I drank with a lot of them for the first time, and phone freaking, and some dude did karting, and whatever, man. Like, it wasn't all goody two shoes shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was some shady shit happening. And that was my adolescence. One of my friends, Pat, he wasn't in a wheelchair. He could still walk, not very well. Is it muscular dystrophy, muscular sclerosis? I don't fucking even know what he had. He's just very palsied. He just couldn't walk very well, and eventually he wound up in a wheelchair, and eventually he fucking wound up dead. Anyway, he's a wonderful person. Don't get me wrong. He's a fucking asshole. He was a fucking dick. He would be disgusted with you. Now I have it pretty good. I will not let people tell me that the people I hung out with didn't have problems. All right, I'm sorry. No. Yeah, they had some deep fucking problems. He wasn't going around saying I'm a member of the fucking muscular dystrophy community. That's not how he defined himself. Pat liked REM. He was once hit on by Michael Stipe at a club in Atlanta. He told me about it. I didn't believe him because it's fucking Pat. He was in a wheelchair at that point. I'm like, Pat, I don't know if Pat was gay. I don't know. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know. We didn't talk a lot about sex. There wasn't a lot of sex happening. That's the other thing that I find hilarious about this whole thing. It's like the idea that there's all this like horrible repression or oppression, and meanwhile, I get the sense that people are banging left and right. Like, they're just out there saying it. You know what I mean? Like, they're out there saying, like, talking about their fucking butt plugs and whatever. Like, okay, like, look, I wasn't getting laid. I'll tell you that. I don't know what you people are talking about. Oh my God. I mean, it just blows my fucking mind. It blows my tiny mind to think that there are people out there who consider themselves oppressed, who who were getting it on every fucking weekend.